welcome to the unnamed but maybe named Axe-hausted podcast. Axe-hausted, get it? So we just wanted to talk a little bit about our business, some mistakes we made along the way, some successes we've had, just a little bit of info. Thought it might be helpful for anybody else that's thinking about getting into starting a business this year, or is thinking about starting a experiential service-based business. Just wanted to, share a little bit of behind the scenes and a little bit about me and Sam. So, who are we?
I'm Sam.
And I'm Jace.
And we are the owners of the Axe Lounge and now the Axe and Grind Bubble Tea and Coffee Shop, newest edition.
Yep. So the Axe Lounge is an axe throwing place in upstate New York, where we kind of coach you on how to throw axes. You kind of see some of the target boards behind us.
They're nice looking.
And how to throw axes, knives, and just kind of I would describe this as kind of one of the more chilled versions of it. It's a spot where you can actually hang out, places to sit. It's a more comfortable space than some of the other axe throwing places that we've been to.
So when did we come about? We started the Axe throwing place about almost a year ago now. The Axe and Grind Bubble Tea and Coffee Shop came up about a month ago, some whirlwind idea that we had.
Sure was a whirlwind idea. So we're closing in on a year in business. I'd say 1 in 5 businesses fail, or no, 1 in 5 businesses survive the first year. I think based on how everything's looking, we should have no issue covering the first year, and hopefully we can make it quite a bit longer than that. Where are we? So we're located in upstate New York. We're close to Albany, New York. It's a town called Schenectady now. A lot of people have heard about it, but it is a bigger town in the area, but basically up in the northeast end of New York.
And why did we start this place? Well,
it's a good question. So I guess the why of why we started it was we've been to a few axe throwing places. We got into it a bit. Noticed that, or felt that there was something lacking in some of the ones around this area, and pretty much everyone we've been to, it didn't really seem like they were kind of figuring out what axe throwing was or what the experience could be like. And I think we found a niche in there with the lounge, the more laid back atmosphere. It's a weird thing to do, and it's something that we thought we could kind of put our own little weird vibe onto it.
It's like a combination of both of us too. You enjoyed the axe throwing, I enjoyed the relaxing part, and kind of melded the two together.
Yeah, it's kind of the best of both worlds, right? You
Yeah.
get the lounge, you get to throw axes. What's better? I'd say the actual origin story. Do you want to kind of take the lead on when we first experienced axe throwing?
Well, we went on vacation in Vermont a while ago now.
Yeah, a couple years back.
We decided to go to an indoor golf or an indoor go-kart racing
It was
place.
a virtual reality go-kart.
Yeah. But made me extremely motion sick, and they just happened to have axe throwing next door. So instead of returning our money, they let us do the axe throwing part, and then you were really good at it. Caught on really quickly.
Yeah.
Had a good time. For me, it came about 9 months later.
For me, it was something I picked up right away. What's kind of ironic about it is Sam had tried to get me to go axe throwing a couple of times before, and I never really saw the draw or saw the why would I want to go do that. She kind of tricked me into it by us going to an indoor go-kart place that made her sick. And part of their business was they had axe throwing. They shared the space with the axe throwing and the go-karts. And so they just swapped us in there, and it kind of, was an accident. Kind of just snowballed from there. Where the more I thought about it, the more I looked around at what how everything was built and what was going on in the space. In my background of woodworking is a hobby of mine, and just basic carpentry skills. Like, this is nothing that I can't build with a little bit of help. So, it just seemed to kind of be a good fit. I've always been entrepreneurial, can't say that word, minded, where I think Sam probably struggles a bit with the entrepreneur mindset, but she's gotten there.
Yeah, more of a go with the flow. Seems like a good idea.
But yeah, that was. I mean, we just kind of wanted to do a quick intro about who we are, what we are, where we are, etc. We're hoping to put together a couple more videos over the course of the next couple months, especially covering a lot of the mistakes that we made along the way. Overall, though, I mean, business has been good. It's definitely something people like in the area. Figuring out, learning a lot of things we've had to learn the last couple of years.
I mean, even now we're still learning as we go, so I'm sure in the future podcasts we'll have more mistakes that we've made along the way that we haven't seen.
It will be funny. But yeah, so I mean, that's how the Axe Throwing got started, the Axe and Grind Bubble Tea and Coffee Shop. So when we started the Axe Lounge, we were 100% going to do alcohol.
Oh yeah.
So now, once we got probably our first weekend open,
we had some bar hoppers, broken axes, and just didn't seem like a good idea anymore. And then with our first couple months in, we saw more families in too.
Yeah.
So the idea of alcohol kind of.
Yeah, it's something I was surprised by. If you had asked us before we opened, or even like a few weeks in, alcohol was something we were working on, something we were planning on doing, and serving, wine, beers, hard cider, that kind of stuff was going to be something that we were going to do. Like Sam said, after the first couple of weeks, we saw some of the late night clientele coming in, had a few drinks, and just the rules weren't being followed, and safety when it comes to something like throwing axes or anything involving weapons, you gotta pay attention to safety, and having people drunk didn't really seem to mend well what we're doing in the area that we're in.
Safety's always our main concern, so
yeah, it's gotta be. But we did notice that there's a lot of families, a lot of not necessarily a family with small children, but families like mom and dad and their son and their spouse kind of thing. It was more of a hangout thing for families than necessarily like what we were expecting, more of the college age crowd, which they would come in, but again, they'd come in with their parents. So we figured coffee, bubble tea, which bubble tea is pretty trendy right now, and so I figured that would be a better fit. Bubble tea is something Sam grew up with. It's became kind of popular, but it's to her, when was the first time we had bubble tea?
like when I was born.
Yeah, so she's been having it since she was a little kid, so it's a very normal thing for her. Something that was really easy to add in with the coffee shop, side of it. And then of course we're in New York State too, so New York State Liquor Authority is no joke. They're very difficult to get a permit through, background checks and everything else. So we figured this was an easier route to go, and that would fit what our customers were looking for a lot better. I mean, pretty much everybody that comes in here used to be bringing in their own coffee, now they're coming here for their coffee. I would even say in the last couple of weeks, because Bubble Tea's only been open for about a month now, but we've probably had as many, if not more, people come in for just the coffee and Bubble Tea.
Also, we're Axe-hausted, so we need the Death Wish coffee as well.
Yeah,
to boost us up.
Death Wish coffee definitely helps us out. I think that covers it for our first podcast. Next one I think we were going to try and cover was beginner mistakes. So just kind of, what we did ourselves, things that we, could have avoided. And so that's going to be what we're going to try and cover on the next podcast. I think it's really important for anybody looking into leasing a space for their, a brick and mortar business. We learned so much that, from our background, which I guess we could do a little bit more on our background even now. Like on my background, like I said, I've always been entrepreneurial minded. About 5-6 years ago, I bought a duplex in the area, renting out the other half, living in the one half. Kind of tried my hand at a couple different businesses, but pretty much every job I've had otherwise, other than trying to start businesses, has been sales focused, been commission based. So really, like working for myself it's not foreign to me. It's just kind of what I've been doing. With my background before sales and the entrepreneurship. Why is that word so hard? I was in the military, then went to college. My approach to college was not to worry about a degree as much as learning, so I took a lot of classes that didn't really make sense for a degree. I took some engineering coursework with some business coursework with some psychology. So I took a very mixed mismatched set of courses, but it really is with the goal of understanding things, not so much, or like learning the things I thought I needed to learn to do business. I didn't worry about, taking my gym class or any of that stuff. And then from there, spent some time in those sales jobs, and that's pretty much what landed me here was, that experience working with other businesses, that kind of stuff. What's your background, Sam?
Well, I went to pharmacy school, left pharmacy school, and then really kind of just didn't know what to do with myself after that, and figured why not take a big step and try owning a business. I mean,
for me, this is my full-time job. I'm here pretty much every day. I mean, I've had a day or two where I haven't been here, but for the most part, I'm here. For Sam, she still has her part-time. What used to be her full-time job, she's been able to downsize part-time. With knock on wood, we can switch over to her having no other job but working at the Axe-hausted.
Yes. So really exhausted.
She's exhausted. How many hours a week do you think you're putting in? I think I did the math out. She's putting in over 100 hours a week between the Axe Lounge and her day job.
But it's always fun to throw axes when you're having a bad day. Yeah, you can't really complain about having an axe throwing place.
One thing that we thought would be kind of fun would be to look at like a small slideshow of the actual beginning.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the slideshow. So the first thing we did obviously was looking for a space.
Yes.
I think we looked at probably from the outside we probably looked at 5-6 spaces.
Yeah.
I think even recently we're like, man, why didn't we put it over here? Like we were driving around the area a little bit a few weeks ago and saw some spots that are like, man, it would have been a way better spot. But why didn't we even think about that?
A big mistake of ours first was probably just rushing into it and feeling like we needed to get started right away.
Yeah, we realized it probably about after we opened on like the first week that we were the only ones rushing, and even there's other businesses opening up in this plaza.
Yeah.
That you can tell they're taking their time so much more, and it's so smart.
Yeah.
That was a mistake we probably made. The space we ended up settling on was in a nice little plaza, pretty much right by us. It's only 5-10 minutes down the road, which is nice. It's if the market would accept it. Where if you're trying to start a business, I recommend being within a 10-minute drive
Close to work
to the business. The one we ended up deciding on. It's an empty shell. Let's see the next slide here.
Well, the next slide was the dogs.
So this one. So this is what it looked like when it started. So we're sitting about midway through like that door that you kind of see on the right picture, or even on the left picture. We're probably that cement patch right there. We're sitting about right there right now. So it's going through a pretty crazy transformation. So that's about midway down on the right picture.
Definitely doesn't look like that anymore.
Yeah. So it's, as you can see, it's quite a bit different. That was one thing that we learned too. Space wasn't crazy, but let's see what else we got.
That was probably about over a year ago. It looked like that.
So this one here is just kind of some of the design work I was doing, just using SketchUp. It's a pretty basic design program. This was actually a design I was using for a different space that we picked out, but I couldn't find the ones from this space.
That was a good thing that we did, kind of deciding, putting our space together in each location and trying to figure out which looked best.
Yeah.
To work.
I think too, if you look at, we'll have to do a shot at some point of just kind of how this place looks. I think we kind of nailed it, the vibe we were going for. So like Schenectady is a relatively densely populated city. I think there's about 150,000, give or take. I can double check the numbers. So in Schenectady, it's city. It's it's not New York City, but it's got some people in it. And so for someone like me who grew up in the North Country of upstate New York in just a small town, sometimes it feels like there's no escape. So it was really it's kind of an oasis for people like me. I think that just wanted to feel like they're in a cabin but didn't want to drive all the way to the mountains. Let's see. Okay, so this I think was actually the design for this space.
Yeah, I think so.
This is another little design. I mean, it's not exactly how it turned out, but it's the basics of it. And then here's an actual midway through construction. We're sitting right in that middle lane that you can see there. Yeah, it's crazy to look back and see how much. You remember all the dust?
Oh, it was terrible.
So the landlord was trying to like hand over the space before they were really done with the construction, and the dust had about a half-inch thick on the floor that we started cleaning, but we had called them. We're like, hey, you gotta come get this dust out of here. What else have we got here?
Let's see.
And yeah, so that's our little front entryway. That sign you saw in the first couple of pictures is leaning up against that wall. Yeah, that ended up. That was
a heavy sign.
Yeah, that sign had to weigh 100 pounds.
Yeah.
I think the next picture is the end product. Yeah, so that's
there it is.
how it ended up being. A little Pepsi fridge, the Axe Lounge sign, and put a quick little countertop there.
Everything was hand built. So we built that counter in the back.
Built in the front.
Counter in the front, the signs. Probably a mistake that we made was starting this business when wood was at its most expensive as well.
Yeah, lumber prices have not been our friend, but you know, it's there's pretty small cost in the grand scheme of things.
Our little Coke certificate on that sign over there.
Yeah, that's the design of the coffee bar. I don't think I have an updated picture of that in this little slideshow, but that's pretty much how it looks. It's a wood countertop. Kind of the only difference, and a couple small changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much what we got over there.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily got the guys in the red shirts right now. But
yeah, hand built.
they're hand built. Me and Sam built every piece of that. Took us days and hours, which I'll do. I'll try and get a shot of that real quick for the next. All right, well that's it. That's our little trip down memory lane. Like I said, next podcast, we're going to try and work on beginner mistakes to business, some things that we could have done different, some lessons we can pass down to you. If you have any interest, feel free to drop in and see that. We'll try and get that uploaded here in the next week or two. Yeah, thanks for watching again. I'm Jace.
I'm Sam.
And this is the Axe-hausted podcast. Stay tuned for a quick couple shots of the coffee bar and of me and Sam in the Axe Lounge.